again. This is Jared Rand. Welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Friday, June 13, 2025, after 3:15 p.m. Eastern. We will be having a reverse aging health call and all the rest tonight after 9:15 p.m. Eastern. Kind of a continuation from my Wednesday TFCC. I guess you could call it a trick maybe, or to this life is to be continually alert to the new, because nothing is ever as it seems. That's very true. Nothing, that we look at or that we take in is how it seems is not what it really is. We can think a being is a certain rigid way our whole lives, only at the end to realize that they had a hidden, flexible part that we could never see. It is how we see things that makes them what they are. Our perception of people colors and taints them, yet does not come close to the truth of their grand totality. Everyone is a permanent grand mystery to be experienced and explored. And when we hold this understanding, this comprehension, as sacred, our relationships and communications with others unfold in a much more enlightening way. Once we become conscious about this perpetual balance nature of duality, the incessant desiring game will completely subside. Then we are eased into a nesting area of true relaxation within our hearts and lives. Here, we can experience the grace and joy, of our divinity. The healing quality of our being. We can discover real freedom, our true essence, and our essential nature. Observe the mind when thoughts come. Ask, to whom do these thoughts come to? Always watch, witness, and observe. Do not get caught in the thought. Just surrender. Robert Adams. A lot of people will, dream about things, right? And then they get frustrated and say, the heck with it. Never going to come true. But then you begin to realize that life is here to challenge you to grow in ways you cannot imagine. Your life is meant to be dangerous so that you don't fall asleep at the wheel and take this amazing world for granted. It is the scariest ride and the most exhilarating one you'll ever be on. It is in your darkest hours of life that you simply need to learn how to relax. Let go of your agenda. Realize that the light is always on at the end of the tunnel. It seems to be that our real challenge is to learn how to do this every day, trusting that everything is unfolding perfectly as it should for our soul's highest evolution and consciousness. And when we accept this divine challenge, we stop resisting this opportunity to grow and take it on as an enlightening adventure. Now, if and when you would like to experience being fully unstoppable in your life, learn how to increase your consciousness and expand your energy by tapping into a higher vibration of belief in yourself. You won't care so much if things go exactly as planned. Instead, you'll just continue to do what inspires you and lifts your vibration. There is a way you can turn up your energy so high that nothing can get in your way. It starts with a commitment to yourself that you will keep sacred the rest of your life. This commitment is to be kind to yourself, gentle with yourself, and never come down hard on yourself no matter what. Follow this one wonderful little secret for even a few weeks in a row, and you'll start increasing your vibration to attract, create, and manifest everything your heart desires. No matter how dark, rough, tough life can get for any of us, there is always a way to get through it and even come out the other side with miraculous success. It's good to know that all of these amazing stories that many people have are true and not made up. And these people are just people, like you and I. And the only thing that made them succeed was that they continuously said to themselves that I will never give up on my dream. I know by simply reading through different people's stories and stuff, you kind of becomes redundant. But it also can become a motivation, inspiration. And we all know that throughout the history of this, well, the background or the ages of the planet, that there's been many that we remember because usually we come across it for some reason or another. And like, you take some of these people, and there's not everybody is good and wonderful, okay? That some are twisted, but when you look at a guy like Abraham Lincoln, and who went to war a captain and returned a private. Afterwards, he was a failure as a businessman. As a lawyer in Springfield, he was too impractical and temperamental to be a success. He turned to politics and was defeated in his first try for the legislature. Again defeated in his first attempt to be nominated for Congress. Defeated in his application to be commissioner of the General Land Office. Defeated in the senatorial election of 1854. Defeated in his efforts for the vice presidency in 1856. And defeated in the senatorial election of 1858. Remember, at that time, we were a democracy. That really, a corporation is basically what it was. He later became the 16th president of the United States of America, which is the corporation, not the Constitutional Republic. Look at a guy like, we all know about Thomas Edison. We grew up, in school books, and we all know he was an inventor, right? And he made, actually it was more than, he made 1,000 unsuccessful attempts in inventing the light bulb. And when a reporter asked, how did it feel to fail 1,000 times? Edison replied, it didn't fail 1,000 times. The light bulb was an invention with 1,000 steps. See, it's how you view things. How many people would say that after, going through over and over and over again? Thomas Edison teacher says he was too stupid to learn anything. He was fired from his first 2 jobs for being non-productive. Look at a guy like R.H. Macy. Failed 7 times before his store in New York City caught on. See, he literally went out of business 7 times. But he didn't give up. He didn't beat himself up. I understand that. You can comprehend that. But he just said, you know, hey, it's okay. I'll get there. And then you look at a guy like Van Gogh, sold only 1 painting during his life. 1. And this to the sister of one of his friends for 400 francs. Approximately $50. But this didn't stop him from completing over 800 paintings. Now look at, we all know Woolworth. Remember Woolworth? Yeah, okay. So F.W. Woolworth was not allowed to wait on customers when he worked in a dry goods store because his boss said he didn't have enough sense. When Bell Telephone was struggling to get started, its owners offered all their rights to Western Union for $100,000. That's a lot of money back then. The other was disdainfully rejected with the pronouncement, what use could this company make of an electrical toy? And how many people have a telephone today? That's what they said. Sigmund Freud was booed from the podium when he first presented his ideas to the scientific community of Europe. He returned to his office and kept on writing. Rocket scientist Robert Goddard found his ideas bitterly rejected by his scientific peers on the grounds that rocket propulsion would not work in the rarefied atmosphere of outer space. An expert said of Vince Lombardi, the football coach of the Green Bay Packers, years ago, 60s, he possesses minimal, this isn't a so-called expert, mind you, okay? I always shudder when I hear somebody say they're an expert. He possesses minimal football knowledge, and he lacks motivation. This is what this guy said about Lombardi. And Lombardi would later write, it's not whether you get knocked down, it's whether you get back up. In fact, when he was dying of cancer, he didn't want to miss his team's play. So he went out there on a gurney. They brought him out on a gurney so he could watch his team play, and the team won. After Carl Lewis won the gold medal for the long jump in 1996 Olympic Games, he was asked to what he attributed his longevity, having competed for almost 20 years. He said, remembering that you have both wins and losses along the way, I don't take either one too seriously. Win some, you lose some. You look at Stan Smith was rejected as a ball boy for a Davis Cup tennis match because he was too awkward and clumsy. So in other words, they said, no, you can't be a ball boy. You're too clumsy, you know. He went on to clumsily win Wimbledon and the U.S. Open and 8 Davis Cups. You see, the whole point of this is that listening to others cuts you off at the pass. Listening to others and what other people think of you. Now, these are just the people, just a few, that didn't care what other people thought. It is one of the most debilitating things that this society has come up with yet for everyone on the planet. And this is proof positive. You remember Fred Astaire, he's a great dancer, singer, multi-talented guy. He would always do dance sets with Ginger Rogers. who was a female actress. After Fred Astaire's first screen test, the memo from the testing director of MGM, dated 1933, read, "Can't act, can't sing, slightly bald, can dance a little." He kept that memo over the fireplace in his Beverly Hills home. Astaire once observed that when you're experimenting, you have to try so many things before you choose what you want, that you may go days getting nothing but exhaustion. And there is the reward of perseverance. The higher up you go, the more mistakes you are allowed. Right at the top, if you make enough of them, it's considered to be your style. After his first audition, some of you remember Sidney Poitier, he was a great actor. He was told by the casting director, "Why don't you stop wasting people's time and go out and become a dishwasher or something?" It was at that moment, recalls Poitier, that he decided to devote his life to acting. Now, how many people would have done that? They would have said, "Fine, heck with this." He didn't. That's what separates those who will and those who won't. When Lucille Ball began studying to be an actress in 1927, she was told by the head instructor of the John Murray Anderson Drama School, "Try another profession." The first time Jerry Seinfeld walked on stage at a comedy club as a professional comic, he looked out at the audience, froze, and forgot the English language. He stumbled through a minute and a half of material and was jeered off stage. He returned the following night and closed his set to wild applause. See it? There's so many of us, and these are just people in the forefront. But we go through this life, and I would say, if you're talking even to a child, the one thing that you really don't care to get stuck with is people passing judgment over you. I've watched a lot of people go by the wayside because of what other people thought and what other people said about those people. And these were really good people. They were forerunners at what they did, and it got to them, and it affected them. And I don't care what anybody says. If someone that that you like or you have a certain level of respect, and then they say something to you, it could be out of the clear blue. And you go, "Well, it doesn't bother me." But then you check yourself and say, "Well, yeah, why did that bother me? Why it bother me?" Most of us won't do that and say, why did that bother me? This is when you will know, and it's actually a positive, because you'll know if you have that kind of response. Could be with a loved one, could be with a stranger, could be with a brother or sister, whoever. You know that you're under the mastership of the ego mind. It's a giveaway. You know it. Say, okay. And then what do? Well, you put that big stop sign up and you say, "Ego mind, you're not in charge here." It's not going to work. And slowly but surely, that's the whole point of mastering the ego mind. It doesn't direct you, you direct it through your heart mind. And then what happens is fear fades away. And being concerned about what other people think and say about you fades away. It truly, there's a lot of people that will fake it and say on the surface, but it doesn't bother me. But it does. And you get to the point where you say, it won't bother you deeply, not even an inkling doesn't bother you. And you know what other thing is interesting? You find that stops. One asks, what do you mean stops? You don't get people really saying anything about you or making derogatory statements at you. You don't notice it at first, but after a while you're going, you know what, I don't have that anymore. Do you think maybe we draw the attention of it? You never know. We're all reflections of each other, period. So, we're like these little mirrors, all reflecting different aspects of ourselves. I believe it's just fascinating because when you're in a crowd or a group of people and you're just watching, right? And you realize you see some people doing things that remind you of you. You see other people doing things that you don't care to be reminded of you. And this is what it's all about. You couldn't have better teachers than those around you. They're not even close. You couldn't have better teachers than those around you. Because some people remind you of things that you don't care to be reminded of. You'd rather have them sit in the closet. And this is why we get irritated with each other, because one of us will remind the other, and vice versa, of parts of yourself that you don't care to address. And this irritates you. You get irritated. That's all ego mind. And then you get frustrated. Rather than saying, okay, what's this about? What am I being shown here? And what am I to learn from it? You see, it gets us into a good habit of digging, going into the rabbit hole, and discovering all these things that we felt, oh no, I'm not going to deal with that right now. I'm going to push it. I'm going to put it in the closet. And none of us are exempt from it. And then we've got all that other stuff that we've dragged with us through the different lifetimes. Believe you me, we carry baggage from other lifetimes. As soon as we enter a physical form, there it is. Didn't go away. It disappear. This is why a lot of people become very confused, because they're in a life, they're experiencing a life, and things show up on occasion that, I've had people tell me, this is eerie, right? Very strange, because I'm just doing this, and I got this feeling that it's not that people call it deja vu, but it's more like you flash back to that life that you carried that baggage forward with you into this life. It's hard. It's difficult to explain unless you've experienced it yourself. An interesting quote. Remember Woody Allen? He was kind of a strange guy. I guess we're all, a little strange anyway. And he said, again, here it is, I don't want to achieve immortality through my work. I want to achieve it through not dying. 80% of success is showing up. Interesting perspective when you listen to all these different people, that they're all teachers. We're teachers. We're all teachers. We're all learning. We're all students and teachers. Now you look at Harrison Ford. And the reason I'm talking about all these people, because they're front and center so people can remember them most of the time. Harrison Ford's first performance as a hotel bellhop in the film Dead Heat. Dead Heat on a Merry-Go-Round, the name of the movie. Studio vice president called him into his office. Hey, kid, sit down. The studio head said, I want to tell you a story. First time Tony Curtis was ever in a movie, he delivered a bag of groceries. We took one look at him and knew he was a movie star. Ford replied, I thought you were supposed to think that he was a grocery delivery boy. The vice president dismissed Ford with, you ain't got it, kid. You ain't got it. Now get out of here. And of course, you see what happened. Harrison Ford, he got in with Lucas, and his stardom started with Star Wars, basically. Remember Michael Caine, famous actor, a lot of movies, well-spoken guy, English. His headmaster told him, "You will be a laborer all your life." It's good to hear these things about other people, which are reflections of us. The reason is that they teach us that the only being that we listen to is the God within us. So we listen to ourselves. It doesn't matter. See, it's always most of the time, I would say it's always disproven. Others passing judgment over you. The reason that we get in the habit of passing judgment on ourselves is because we have so many other people passing judgments on us. Isn't that something? So, again, the reflecting one another. Little mirrors, like a whole big universe of mirrors reflecting each other. Beethoven handled the violin awkwardly. He preferred playing his own compositions instead of improving his technique. His teacher called him hopeless as a composer. And of course, you know that he wrote 5 of his greatest symphonies while completely deaf. Leo Tolstoy flunked out of college. He was described as both unable and unwilling to learn. No doubt a slow developer. Louise May Alcott, author of Little Women, was encouraged to find work as a servant by her own family. Emily Dickinson had only 7 poems published in her lifetime. 8 publishers turned down Richard Bach's story about a soaring eagle. Macmillan finally published Jonathan Livingston Seagull. Some of you remember that, in 1970. By 1975, it had sold more than 7 million copies in the U.S. alone. Jack London received 600 rejection slips before he sold his first story. Publishers rejected Richard Hooker's humorous war novel, MASH. He had worked on it for 7 years. And then look what happened with that. It became a TV series, long running, very successful. Publishers rejected Dr. Seuss's first book, I Think That I Saw It on Mulberry Street. You know Dr. Seuss, it's Green Eggs and Ham. See, when you slow down and you take enough time to view the life that you're in, and you realize that the whole thing is about enjoying yourself. It really is. And since we're tied up with the ego mind, that isn't front and center. Most of the time we find ourselves scraping and scrapping with the ego mind, with life, with all kinds of things. And, we go along, and then we hit some nice spots, and it kind of repairs things, and then we kind of go along some more, and then we hit some rough spots. It kind of goes up and down, up and down, up and down. If it was really consistent, I can guarantee you us creators would get bored. At first, it would be great, like a novelty, but then it would wear off and we would get bored. So this is why we create the lives that we have. So they're always an adventure. And an adventure can shift and change, and things can change real quickly, but they don't have to be massive changes. Sometimes they are, because the universe is saying, hey, get off your arse. Move forward. Stop sitting. I don't mean I don't mean it only just physically, but all of it. where we're just kind of bumps on a log. And a lot of people like that. They just, heck, I'm in a good spot. I'm going to stay in this good spot. It took me a long time to get in this good spot. I'm not going anywhere else. So it's for us to enjoy life, and then whenever we get to the fight, what is the fight? It's when we go head on with life and we fight it. We fight love, we fight fear, we fight courage, we fight success, we fight happiness, we fight wealth, we fight it all. And when we fight it, we don't really, it's not like, we got the boxing gloves on, we're just tug-of-warring it because of the ego mind is front and center. Now you begin to let go of the reins and you say, I'll hold on to them, but it won't be too tight and won't be too loose, and then I'll be able to. See, when you're on a horse and you have reins, right, and and then you have the bridle in the mouth, if you pull really too tight, too hard, a horse is not going to be your friend at all. And there are certain movements with the back, the lower part of the leg on a horse to guide it and gear it, so basically manage the horse where it doesn't manage you. And a lot of people get frustrated because they haven't really ridden horses, and first time they get on the horse and what am I supposed to do? It's not doing anything. It's not going anywhere. And so they kick it and yank and pull on the reins, and the horse just stands there. The horse knows that they don't know what they're doing. Okay? So it's finesse. It's you knowing yourself and finessing your way through this life, embracing it, enjoying it, and then any of the stumbles, just make sure you have knee pads on. You won't scrape your knees. Yeah, you'll get a little bruise here and there, but you'll get back up and say, you know what? I'm in command. I can shift anytime I want. I can change things anytime I want. There is no restrictions. The only restrictions that I'll ever have in this life are the ones I put on myself. The only impossibilities are the things that I feel are impossible. See? Dare go where no one has ever gone before. This is why this planet is in such a turmoil most of the time, because of this direction. Embracing oneself, loving oneself deeply and eternally. Being kind, gentle, humble, and generous with oneself at all times. Being the highest of the highest high, gratitude at all times. 24/7. Practicing being in the now as much as you can. People say, well, I don't have time to sit for an hour in meditation. Too many more important things to do. Well, all right, then, why don't you, when you're at the grocery store, why don't you just meditate there? You can do a walking meditation. You can do a sitting meditation. You can do a lying meditation. You can sit out in nature and meditate. You can meditate anywhere you want. It's reminding yourself that you're in the now. And the now is all you have. None of us have anything but the now. We have no guarantee about tomorrow. Okay? We do know that the past is gone. It's not coming back. But we don't, with the future we don't know. So all we know is that the now. So when we go to bed at night, we're deeply grateful for the very moment we're in. When we wake up in the morning, we're deeply grateful for the very moment we're in, and we're super grateful that we woke up. And these might seem trivial to some people. And okay, fine. But they're actually the opposite. They're tremendously impactful. And the more you move because you want to, no one's telling you to, no one's tricking you to, threatening you to, whatever, you want to. So you say, it's time for me to go within and start practicing and learning. It is, it isn't a wham, bam, thank you, ma'am type situation. It is gradual. You're not going to do it overnight. You're not going to do it in a week, a month. People think they go, oh, wow, yeah, I've got it all down. It's all done. And you're learning. And it isn't a race. This is why you hear me talk about sometimes slow down. And I've said that to people through the years, and some will, and others just, they'll try it, but they don't stay with it. If something happens and then they get in a hurry and then the clock is there and all this stuff and then it revs itself up again. But when you're in a state of relaxation, just like in these meditations, you find a place that's comfortable for you. You make sure you don't have any outside distractions. And you relax into your body. You're as still as a statue. And you're focused on your breath rising and falling. That's the now. So you're just in the moment. That's it. And coming from your God self, that's all there is. The moment. The now. And see, what happens is when we do that and we focus on that through meditation, we begin to comprehend what the ego mind is all about. We also begin to realize that we have thoughts. And they're just thoughts. They have no power. They're just thoughts. Okay? And you realize that I'm just going to let this thought pass through because I'm not interested in engaging it. I'm not interested in worrying about it, stressing about it, fearing about it. I'm just going to let it pass through. And that's what happens, just passes through. And it's gone. The ego mind rears its head up and says this, and starts pushing me here and there. I just turn around, put up the neon stop sign, say, stop, ego mind, you're not in charge. And it works. And you begin to know what it's about. You do. You go, I know what this is about. It's not my first rodeo. I know what this is about. So for the next 48 hours, I invite you to let your mind ponder about one basic idea. Everything is perfect in this universe, and exactly as it should be. The only imperfections that exist are those created by the mind. I join you in meditation. I'll return to close this out. Take an easy and slow breath in through the nose. And an easy and slow breath out from the mouth. Remain relaxed into your body. Still as a statue, focused on your breath, rising and falling. Anger, sadness, and fear are all a form of love under pressure. Just like how coal, when compressed, is turned into a diamond. When you hit your hardest moments in your life, you will later realize how love has become the great outcome. So no matter what darkness you might see, feel, or think about today, at the very core of your being, there is a sparkling diamond of love. Love is the brilliant source of who you truly are. And when you give presence to the love that lives inside your heart, you will experience it within everyone and everything you do. It flows through every thought, emotion, and breath, and every moment. It waits for you to feel it. Trust in this love. Know that you are love. Give this love to yourself. It is the essence of your existence and the greatest experience of them all. Take this with you for the rest of the day, into the evening and night and the following morning. We'll return here tonight after 9:15 p.m. Eastern to continue our reverse aging health call and all the rest. And Saturday, June 14, 2025, after 3:15 p.m. Eastern to continue our global guided meditation call. Be gentle, kind, generous, and humble with yourself at all times. Be of the highest high, deepest of the deepest deepest, and purest of the purest eternal gratitude at all times. No matter what's going on within you or outside of you. Open your heart and allow the magic to flow in.